Okay. Um, we got a few people in. Did Susan, was there a specific timeline they wanted to give for like people to kind of like come trickling in, or is that kind of up to us?
I would say just to keep on time to go ahead and get started since
Yeah.
it's recording. Um,
Okay.
and it looks like there's only one person out there who hasn't joined a breakout room yet. So I would say go ahead and get started.
Okay. Sounds good. Um, well, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Joshua Zabala. I am with Shep Houston Professional Chapter. I am the current Vice President of Internal Affairs for the chapter, and I'm also here with my cohort, Rosie Ortiz. If you want to give yourself a small little intro.
Yes. Yes. And here, as Josh stated, my name is Rosie Ortiz. I've been with the Sheffield Professional Chapter since 2020. I was the former VPI for Shep Houston Professional before I handed off to Josh to take over. So we're here to be able to know, well, what are the advice and tips to be able to craft that perfect or almost perfect chapter report for that. So you can go to the next slide, Josh.
Yeah. Uh, next. There we go.
Before we go, I know it's a smaller group, so I want to make it a little bit more interactive. Can I know what chapters we have online right now? Like what professional chapters? Either you can unmute yourself and let me know just to get a better idea, or you can put it on the chat so I can see what professional chapters we have online. Kansas City. Okay. Thanks, Gabby.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alicia Proctor. I'm from Prairie View A&M, the SHIP chapter here at the university. So I'm the advisor, and I was also one of the mentors this year.
Oh, nice. Well,
Awesome.
welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We got James Neary, one of our Star Awards. Woo, James Neary,
Hmm.
DFW. Oregon, nice. And Region 6 in Casey area on Shep staff. Of course, Miss Susan. Advisor for ELAC Region 2. Okay, we have a diverse group, so welcome everyone taking some time from your schedules to come and join us. So, word the meets, with our keys to success, we're going to be talking about reaching out for support, what the rubric entails and how to follow it, the usage of the template, utilizing our chapter management tool, or CMT, which is our Bible, as like I like to call it. That was going to be our main meat and potatoes to be able to make the report possible. The numbers, as part of the reports, yes, we have to also showcase what we do in that specific time frame from June to December, but we have to be able to interpret that and create a movie and story as to what do they mean and how it impacts the whole pillars of Chef. And of course, have a splash of creativity. So we have to be able to showcase, but also have those visuals and creativity to be able to give a better understanding to our chef leaders of what each of us are doing within our chapters.
Yep. So, um, number one we have is to reach out for support. Um, this is honestly the the biggest key to our success. This is what really helped us to shape everything, and kind of as we go along with the slides, we'll kind of circle back to support a little bit to kind of show like where where this kind of helped not only us, but I think helped everybody in the future. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. We reached out to the membership department, so we reached out to Ashley, and then we also did reach out to our regional team as well, and they were all a very big help, especially Ashley and Co. So yeah, definitely reach out to them. You can like we had like a couple passes or a couple questions like over the course of the time we were writing the report, and that's where that first point, which is iterate, refine, and improve through feedback, that kind of helped us out a lot. Um, but yeah, and I really like this little gift that we have in there. It's my favorite thing on the slide.
Just to piggyback on what Josh was stating, yes, do make use of your resources, specifically with our national team. Ashley is great in responding quickly to you. She was my main point of contact, and they do provide you quite a good time. So don't wait to the last minute. I tended to be like that in college. It doesn't work for this. Trust me, you're gonna lose all your hair. I don't want you to have thin hair, go bald after this report. So please do reach out for support. And yes, one specific person receives the information for the NCP. Don't think that you have to do all of the work. You have a full team, whether you have 6 officers, 7 officers. In our case, it was about 13 of us, plus our committee members. We made use of everyone to be able to grab all of their feedback, all of their ideas into one specific report. The way that we broke it down, at least for our chapter, is I would create like a little powwow meeting with my team as to, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. These are the sections. This is what we have to entail. So and so, I've broken you down to this specific section for the chapter accomplishments. You guys are going to focus on the chapter metrics. You guys are going to focus on the feedback that has to be good. And it will go section by section. So I would divide and conquer amongst my team, and I will just be like the one kind of project managing the whole report, making sure all the points were being tackled, along with my top officers being Josh and that, and he was VPE, Abraham, the president, and then our secretary was Miguel. So all 4 of us will work together, but we will separate everything amongst our chapters so everyone could tackle at least one sentence. Helps tremendously when you have to write a 8-page report. So don't be afraid to ask for help. You don't have to tackle the whole thing. Use your regional team, like Josh was stating, use the national team as well as your own team members and committee members. Membership department was our top resource, and overall, don't be afraid to ask for help because this can only happen if you do it with the rest of your team.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
And next we have follow the rubric. So this was, I believe, the original rubric that we got at the beginning of last year, like for the first report for last year, last term. So for this one, it it was, at least for us, we were somewhat confused when we were looking at the rubric, but in this case, we looked through everything and we realized that like the red section over there on the right was like one of the most important parts of everything. And we're like, okay, so we need to make sure we hit that because that like each of those is worth 2 points. And then combined, it's like 6 points for a full section. So we decided to take that and then we did what we normally do, which is focusing on the CMT and all of our stats and adding in detail. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Rosie.
How many of the ones present here have written a report before, specifically last year's new layout? You can raise your virtual hand. Have any of y'all written the report here? James? Okay, thank you, James. Anyone else online?
James and Carla.
And we have Edward and Gabby. Have you guys been involved in a whole chapter report written?
No, I'm pretty new to our board here in Kansas City, so this is all pretty new to me. So even acronyms like CMT, I'm trying to get a better understanding for.
Yeah, and feel free anyone to just pop in and ask any questions because I know some new terminology may be a lot. So by all means, let me know. So CMT is just a chapter management tool, and I believe Josh has a snippet of it in a few more slides, but it just entails a whole list of what events you've done throughout that specific time frame. So you will put the name of the event, how many attended, how many you're thinking they're going to attend, so you can have that before and after scope, the date, what is the event about, what was the impact. So you have all of that into one specific line. So that way, when you start writing the report, you're able to refer back to it and see like, oh, we were expecting 100 people and only 80 of them went. What was the lessons about this? What were the good ones? What were the bad ones? Because there's a lessons learned section within our report. So you're able to reference back to those in the CMT. So you're able to look at numbers, able to look at the outcomes of it, the lessons learned, all of that in the CMT. So that way it's kind of easier to do the report. So it goes in like in a back and forth situation.
Yeah. And
I
we'll
see
talk about
Edward
that.
said no. I'm sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say we'll talk more about that later as
Mhm.
well.
Yes. Okay. So the rubric was a little bit confusing, not gonna lie at first for me when I first saw this, but after getting some advice and clearing from Ashley when working with her, I was able to explain to the team. So cover page and chapter highlights are 1 page. Those are 0 points. But even though they're 0 points, don't think you just have to just write whatever you want to. No, there's significantly important because there's certain font sizes and certain types of font you have to use. You are not able to alter any of that, nor the margins. There will have to be 1 inch margins, and there's specific things you have to follow, and it's all stated in the rubric. For chapter highlights, it's gonna be mainly your 5 main points of like something that really signifies and impact your chapter. Like, well, for James, for example, what highlights DFW to be the top chapter for you? Like, what are some specific events, tipping start highlights of it? And then for CMT planned activities and CMT obtained outcomes, those are all going to be 2 points each, but those are broken down into specific ones. And I believe you have a screenshot of that later on, Josh. And those are the
Yeah.
maximum points for that one. And those are broken down into individual ones. And then as
Mhm.
we'll go more in detail later about focusing on the CMT stats in detail, because all of that is going to be coming into play here. So having the rubric handy will be very crucial when you're trying to do the report.
Yeah. And then next. So along with that, there was also, so we were given both the template and the rubric.
Mhm.
So with the rubric looking the way it did, it kind of broke down like each section as they were going to be graded, right? But then going to template, you kind of saw how everything was going to be put together. And so they gave us a full on, there's a whole big PDF that breaks down every single page and everything. And that is a, quite large for me to throw into a PowerPoint. So I use this here. But each of these sections here in that template, they break down like what it is, they're expecting you to write it about, um, and the general point numbers for everything. So we always use that as a base. In this case, we kind of created our own version of the template, kind of help make sense of it for ourselves. And then again, throwing that back to Ashley and asking her, like, is this okay? Um, and then you putting all that together to kind of create our own template. And then in the next slide, you'll kind of see where we ended up landing on for the updated rubric that was used for the second chapter report of the last term.
Mhm.
Do you have anything to add here, Rosie?
Yes, I just want to say like the initial page said 2 points each, and here you're gonna see 6 points each. You're like, how is that even connect or anything?
Yeah.
So here it will be the CMT planned activities, CMT obtained outcomes, and lessons learned. So each of those sections, you go to the next slide, Josh. Each of those three are going to go under member recruitment, under member retention, and under member success.
Yeah.
And I don't mind sharing the version that we created from our end because looking at these two was very confusing for us. But I can share if I can find it from my end the version that I created. So yeah, way you can kind of go hand in hand to see if you're on the right path. So under member recruitment, it will be basically previously known as let me see if I have it.
I think it like each of these, like the planned activities, obtain the outcomes and lessons learned were oh wait, my bad. I went to the wrong place. The planned activities, obtain the outcomes and lessons learned were each like their own sections and they were a bit larger than
Mm-hmm.
the way this is here. So yeah, it's just kind of like separating them out into more bite-sized chunks based on category, kind of
Mm-hmm.
help write everything and make it kind of flow better.
So member
Um,
recruitment will be more of activities of how we are attracting more membership into the chapter. So our marketing numbers, how are we growing that membership? Are we using specific events? Are we doing newsletters? Are we maybe tackling specific socials that are gaining that membership? So anything that's in gaining memberships, growing our membership, that's going to be in the members recruitment activities portion of it. And you'll put chapter accomplishments, chapter by the numbers, and then lessons learned. And then same thing, go to the next section, the member retention activities. You'll have like a little summary of entailing all of the stuff that entails to the member retention. So first section is how do we attract our members? Second section is how do we retain those members that we have already kind of got into our chapter. So then you'll specifically say maybe there's specific professional development activities. Maybe you're getting them to join into committees, or you're planning a new committees, or maybe there's socials that are having them to come over. Like for Shep Houston, for example, our gala is one of the ongoing ones that is well known in Houston. So even members of seniority of 10 plus years, they don't specifically go to our month-to-month events, but they know, oh, they have an annual event that I have to go to. And every year, all of our 10 plus members, the years that have been exposed to Shep Houston, they do come specifically for our Shep Gala. So that will be one of the examples of where it could be a member retention activity. So something that is able to attract members and have them stay within your chapter as well. And then the last section, the member success, is, well, what are we doing now to be able to promote them to the next category? So are we offering any type of PDS events that specifically get them to grad school? Are any of our members lifetime members? Are any of our members Star Award members? You're able to highlight that, as well as the community outreach and those specific ones with Shep Junior. Those will go under the member success. And then each of these will have those specific ones that's a chapter accomplishments, chapter by the numbers, and lessons learned, which is how it entails back and connects with the CMT specifically.
yeah. And through all of that, we kind of land on the latest version of the rubric, which is we communicated a lot of our kind of like our versions of the templates kind of put together. Ashley then kind of redefined the rubric. This is a small snippet of the rubric, but it more breaks it down exactly as you would write it, which you see the cover page, chapter highlights, and as Rosie was mentioning, right? Member recruitment, it's 2 pages total, but like you have the CMT planned activities, the outcomes, lessons learned, and then you start another section for retention, and then so on and so forth. And you can see that it's starting off the same thing. And yeah, so this kind of this shows that your communication doesn't fall on deaf ears. Reaching out to the national team, they will take our feedback um, and iterate on it, right? And this really is, it's all collaborative. We're all trying to make Shep the best it can be, and these reports kind of help to uh, outline like what are our strong points, what are our weak points, what do we need areas for improvement, and that's why the report is so important. And yeah, Rosie.
Mhm. Is there any questions on this? Because I know if it's something
It's
that's
a lot.
completely new, it's a lot. So I'm welcome to open it up to questions on this specifically before we go on to the next slide. Either speak about it or type it on the chat.
So this updated rubric is what is available for all chapters to access, or was this specific to Houston? Okay.
No,
No, all
this was
chapters.
yeah. This
Okay.
one was what was given out before the second report. So this one is basically unless Ashley changed the rubric or anything like that, this should be you'll get the full PDF of it, but this would be what everybody would get when you go to I believe Susan put a link in the chat. If you go to that chat, go down to the bottom of the page, There are a lot of very useful links.
Mhm.
I actually think I got this specific rubric from there. So if you go
Okay,
in
so
there,
that's part of
yeah,
what's also there.
yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
this is the current one that's being used as well. Um, so we're also not explaining to you anything that is foreign to that's going to be different for you guys. So this is pretty much how the layout is going to be for this upcoming report.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, and so this is kind of like us putting together like our journey to um, getting to where we are now, right? And then the next couple slides, we're just going to talk about like how we put together the actual report. So um, the main point is there's a few, but we always first start off with utilizing the CMT, which is the chapter management tool. In that same link down at the bottom, you should also find a copy of the CMT that you can use, and you can take that and use it however which way you want. We're just gonna kind of say what we do. Generally, most everybody should be using this. If you can see this green section over here, most everybody should be using this chapter schedule, right? And here you're inputting all your events that you're having throughout the year. And usually when report time comes around, you're writing from the beginning of the term until the end of December, right? So even though the report is submitted in January, you're not really writing about anything that's happening in January. So you can just focus on those specific events, and you want to fill out these events. And it's quite a long list of information. You have your activity name, the date, time, how many people went, the history of the event, how successful was it, what were your lessons learned, and all of this is going to really come together and help you to write everything uh, that is required in the report based on the rubric we were just showing you. So you'll have a lot of these different types of events like socials. Those are pretty good for retention. And then in general, every event on the schedule has a lessons learned section. So you're always going to have some type of information for that section there. And then for recruitment, you'll know what your events are for recruitment and retention. And yeah, pairing all that together, you can write your report. And then another thing, there is a section in the CMT for SWOT analysis. Um, what we do is we also add like a little extra section down over here on the right. And what we use this for is to create our SMART objectives. Um, in the chapter schedule on the far left, you'll see that there's a column for SMART objectives. And so what we use is we use this SWOT tab in order to kind of like outline our SMART objectives for the term. And we use that, and then once we've outlined everything, we kind of mark our progress for the first report. That kind of also helps us to put that information into the report as well. And we give everything a number, and then we just associate it on the schedule. We will have examples, especially in the next slide, to kind of show where all this kind of starts coming together. Um, and yeah, this probably is a lot. I don't know if Rosie, you have anything else to add?
No, you covered the majority of it. I do want to say not every chapter tends to utilize the CMT. Y'all may probably have something additional that's kind of similar to this, where y'all keeping
Mhm.
track of the events that y'all doing throughout that whole specific mid-year. But whatever works, but CMT usually is the one that we would rely on the most because it would tell all the significant information we will later use in the report. Like in the bottom section, as Josh was saying, where we have our SMART goals, we would categorize each of those as like O1, O2, O3 specifically to an officer. So some were for secretary, some were for our BPE, some were for BPI, for our special projects, whatever that officer was, we will create specific SMART objectives for them, which we will reference back to in our report. So we will not state like in quotations what was said, but we will reference back in parentheses to that specific objective. So we were able to improve our marketing numbers by 50%, and then we'll go to our public, our what is it? Our PR officer,
Mhm.
and then we will reference whatever number we gave them in the SMART goals at the bottom. So that way it would just be in parentheses within our report. So it will kind of like when we were back in school where you had to use in quotations like we got it from this reference. Same here to be able to save some space when we're writing something, we will reference back to our CMT, the goals that we had relayed there already together. But that's what's the start and meat and potatoes. So we will be filling this out throughout the time as we were completing an event, making sure everything was being updated by our officers. So by the time the report came, we already kind of knew what needed to be done, or we will get back with them like, hey, make sure you are updating this specific one before we forget what the outcome was or the numbers. Because then when the time frame was for us to prepare for the report, we will make sure everything was up to par to start already prepping us to what needed to be included in the report.
Mhm. Yeah. Any questions on this? No? Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next one. So, before I kind of like tackle the actual section up at the top, you'll see a small example down here of what we're talking about with the O1, O2, O3, and this is where like okay, this information that we're talking about here relates to like this SMART goal and then this SMART goal. And then I'll start kind of bringing up the numbers in a little bit. But this is just a small snippet of what we did, and then another snippet up here. There's another page towards the end that we have like more examples of what we've put together. But and continuing on, so the numbers are very important, right? So you have your numbers that you can get from the CMT, right? So the CMT has like your attendance numbers for your events, and that's all super important. But you also have your volunteer hours that you can track. We track them by asking our board members and committee members to insert their hours into a Google form so that we can track that based on like who, what committee you're part of, what director you are, and so on and so forth. You have a bunch of other metrics that you can use. You have your social media metrics. You got your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn. LinkedIn's very important because I think LinkedIn breaks down your members by what their profession is. So that's also a really good metric. Um, you also have your metrics for your website, like how often are people visiting your website? Do you have you made some changes to your website recently? And that has provided like a great uptick in viewership of your website. That's also great stuff to write down. Um, so think about all the different ways you can get numbers for yourself. It's very much like if you're writing your resume, numbers are very important. They stick out, and it's really good to have them. And then you can also compile all these numbers and make graphs for visual representation, like we have up here at the top right. Um, and then you can take all those numbers and put them in the report as well, like down here at the bottom, monthly newsletter, officer spotlights, usage of WhatsApp committee members, as well as regional and national support, aided and ended the term with 438 total active members, which was a 106% increase from June of the previous year. And then there's a 71% up there. So yeah, you just want to highlight the numbers, right? Hype yourselves up. You know, it's you're writing a report about how often you are. So hype yourself up as much as you can.
Mhm. And one of the reports that our regional RVP usually sends, that membership list, that can also be very useful. And they should be sending them monthly, but in case they don't, right now will be a really good time for you to reach out, or someone in your chapter to reach out to Cindy to be able to send you that membership list, because that can help with seeing your current membership grow. That can go under the recruitment portion, or you can see how many have stabilized and see that could also work for your retention numbers. So
Yeah.
the hours, like Josh was saying, that's very crucial. So you're able to see how much time is being put into specific pillars within the SHEP organization. LinkedIn is a big, it tells you by category if they're like early career, mid-career, or 10 plus years, if they're more tenured, if they're what industry are they in specifically. So that could be kind of in your recruitment numbers. You're trying to gain more people in more of the early career versus the mid, or you want to go more mid versus early, and you're kind of telling that story, so you can use that in your chapter by the numbers portion. Social media impressions is always a big one as well. For retention numbers, it could be maybe specific flagship events that you want to highlight. Maybe you're seeing trends in your general meetings that you're hosting. You see people are coming and the number tends to stay steady. So that could be a good retention number to use, because you can state in Q1, 40 members attended. In Q2, 30 members attended, or 45 members attended. So you can kind of tell that story, and you're able to also compare to the previous years. That's one of the main things you can always get for numbers. If you're trying to see like, how can I tell the story that we've improved, or we're going into that improvement phase, use the report from last year. That would be a really, really good way to baseline yourself. So you can use the one from 2023 to this year, and then you're able to compare and contrast, and you get percentages differences. That's where you're able to get those numbers and tell that specific story. But also when you put graphs, make sure you have a brief explanation as to what that visual is for, just to be able to whoever's reading the report, be able to get the full story from it. Maybe seeing the membership numbers within your group. So in SHEP Houston, we had close to 430 active members. So we will try and see what companies they were from, to be able to see what type of events we could further on do later on with our special project team or membership teams. So maybe 30% of them are from Chevron, or 40% are from specific oil and gas industry. So you're able to tell that story within your graphs as well. So you're just trying to be creative and trying to get those numbers to showcase in your report. And then for the membership retention, trying to look at examples from the previous report that we had, so I can give you kind of a better idea for it. So for member success, some chapter by the numbers that we use for graphs, it will be like outreach efforts. We will put there how many volunteers went to how many attendees went, and see that impact that we had in that community. Also able to see our current membership locations. So that way we're able to say, well, we were not able to host as many events in person, but we were able to host virtual events because most of our membership was scattered in several areas in our city. So this is why we decided to do it this way. So kind of support it on that end. Your SHEP Junior numbers, Noche de Ciencias is always a big one. So how you're doing the Noche de Ciencias maybe from one semester to another. You're comparing and contrast the attendance of your volunteers and the parents and students. You're able to see those over spring 2024, fall 2023, or spring 2023. So you're able to see different comparisons of numbers. Breaking it down to professional members, professional mentees, or students, you do have a specific mentorship program. That could also be some good ones as well. And I don't know, actually, there's a link where there's examples of previous professional reports, so they're able to also use that as guidance, or do we just share it here for them to be able to see the ones that we did as well?
Was that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Yes, there is on that link, and I can throw the actual one in there, but on that webpage there is a sample of a professional chapter report too. And I wonder too, if you're a new person who you're like, I don't know who did these last time, and I don't have access to our reports from previous quarters or previous years,
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
email chapters@ship.org. They probably have them and they could share them back with you. So no need to like recreate the wheel or start from scratch.
Yeah.
If you're an
Mhm.
existing chapter and stuff just didn't get transitioned or you've lost a file or something, we probably have it.
Mhm.
So I'll throw in the chat a couple of things to help with that too.
Mhm.
Thank you. Um, yeah. So those are the numbers. They're very important, but I can understand if they may seem overwhelming, but there are ways you can get them. Yeah. So we have, last but not least, creativity. As Rosie was kind of saying, like your creativity is going to go a long way into helping you create the report and make it unique to you. Um, we did a few things in terms of like our first page when you first look at the report. We kind of just like wanted to make it nice and pretty. And then also in terms of our planning and how we got everybody ready, um, Rosie had a great way of, like she said, we would have like a call where we would kind of like talk about everything and how we were going to break things down. But then she also had this nice email that she sent out with a breakdown of like, okay, like who's covering what, right? So uh, then we have those marked in red, and like as we go, we kind of come back and like change the color to signify like, hey, it's done, um, and stuff like that. And yeah, there, like we were saying, like you can look at other example reports for inspiration. Um, any outside perspective is always helpful. So you can maybe reach out to s- just anybody. I mean, as you're writing it, you can reach out to any person on your board and say like, does this sound right? I mean, um, there's so many different things you can do, and just have fun with it. It's it's a long report, and if you do your best to kind of like invite everybody and involve everyone,
Mhm.
it can be a pretty good experience. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, we would usually have like this powwow with the team, and what we introduced something new last year where we wanted to get feedback. What was that called, Josh? That you led it one time? The when we had
What did I
everyone
call?
come in bring their feedback in as well.
I don't know what I called it.
I forgot what it was, but we basically made
Yeah.
it interactive with the team and had them like give us their points and be like, okay, what do you guys think from y'all's perspective? What did we do new? What do we need to improve on? What do we
Hmm.
should we do for the next upcoming like what type of support when we needing? So we made everyone be able to type it out more interactive. And then we will break it down here as to, all right, this is what the member recruitment is about. This is the breakdown for a specific one. So Dave in that time was our public relations officer. So Penn activities will be more covering the membership. How are we engaging more membership to come join our chapter? So he will look at all of our social media, the impressions, LinkedIn, Linktree, our newsletters. What were you doing with bringing new people into visualization to be able to see new things? Are you doing different types of posts? How much are we getting for those posts? And then for the obtained activities, that will be where the big numbers will come in. So that section, mainly our secretary and Josh, Miguel, now president of Shakistan, Miguel and Josh will be the ones to get those numbers so we can get it all prettied up. And then lessons learned, going back to the CMT, where you had those lessons learned, specifically only those events that would get members in. What was some lessons learned, good and bad, and how can we able to continue doing that? And then the same thing would happen with the other ones, but it will break it down depending on the officers' positions and events that they did because they will be more familiarized with them. But always having one point of contact that will be the main meets and making sure everyone was on track. That was me at the time where I was able to have to, okay, I'm gonna ask these questions, but I will make sure to ask them beforehand. So by the time my team was ready to start working on the report, I already had a better idea of what I needed to explain to them because I had to first understand it to be able to explain to them. So we would have those powwows before, and then I would dedicate some time for about a week or week and a half where I would book my time from 6 p.m. after work to around maybe 11 p.m. on a daily. I will be there just writing the report and I'll be like, hey team, if y'all want to join me so we can work together on this, join in, ask me questions, and we'll work together on this specific report. So it was very collaborative among the team to be able to get those sections together. We would put like music, trying like Josh said, have fun with it. Like, yes, it's a report, you're showcasing your events as well, how good of a chapter you are. So have fun with it. We were just like chit-chatting, having catch up during those times to kind of get that stress out of your body for a little bit. But at least you're able to work together as a team to be able to do that. So having those set time frames, it kind of forces you to work with the team as well. And then I would also send like a little bit of snippets of like, hey team, make sure you get your hours for these events. So I would give them like a little bit of a run through because we are able to see all the events that happen, and with time you forget. It happens. We all work specifically and we have our families to take care of. So having like a little bit of snippet with your officers, like these are the events that we did. Make sure you have your hours for these. And then those quarterly check-ins are very important because it kind of already force you to gather important information from it. So those quarterly check-ins are also really good to use because it already has some numbers that are very usable for this report in the end as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's right. So that's like our last like main slide of like what we did and how we got to where we are. I do have some examples here. I hope this is readable for everybody. But yeah, so we have like a little snippet from our chapter highlights over here, talking about one of our events. Again, you can see here the use of numbers. Majority of this is gotten from the CMT itself about like who attended. Then we link that back to our SMART goals over here. Lessons learned. Not as many numbers in these other two examples, but again, you can kind of see like how we structured it, how we brought it back to our SMART goals. And the support needed isn't really a section that is related to SMART goals. This is just more like what you could get more support from either the region or a national team um, or whoever in terms of things. But yeah, this is these are a few examples, and then I don't know if our report is in the list of examples that's on the website or not. It might be in there. Um, but if you want, you can reach out to us and we can share ours as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Canva was one of our big assets that we use for specifically the cover page. That was always, it's free, it's easy to use. Canva is always the best way, but this one you can see we had at least a picture as well, so you're able to see the impact that was in, because picture sometimes speaks more than 1,000 words, they say. It's kind of true. So here we just say like quickly what it is about. Chapter highlights, like I said earlier, is more of highlighting the specific events that highlight your chapter, that is unique to you. Like what speaks more to being the DFW team? What speaks more to being more of the Oregon professional team? What specific events? So you have to brainstorm like what events do I want to highlight? Mainly 5 of them, where you're able to at least tackle one of each pillar. So in this example, Noche de Ciencias tackled more of the outreach portion of it. So we had Noche de Ciencias. We will compare how many people went, how many volunteers, usage of, like Josh stated, onto our SMART goals with the O12s or O11s, whatever specific line it was that was being used for. And then you also include a little bit of picture of it so they can see the impact that was done in the end as well. And lessons learned is also one of the subcategories within the main ones. And lessons learned is going back to your CMT, seeing what are those specific events that were learned, like maybe for this example, to avoid WhatsApp promotions being perceived as scams. Some of our attendees or our members would think that WhatsApp was a spam. So maybe a lesson learned would be maybe to use something that was different, or having other ways in order to approach that so our members are able to see all of our information. So those type of things, it could be good and bad as well. And then support needed, even though it's not is not a point given for this. It is really, really important. And this is one of my favorite ones because it was more of my vent out session to like, Shep National, I need to have more money, or I need to be able to know what type of PDS events can I do, or I need more resources. They literally read this word per word. And all of this feedback is taken into account, which is what it makes us to be more of a continuous improvement type of organization. So don't think that whatever you put in support unit is just going to be like, no, I don't want to put my report because they're not going to read it. They read it, and I've seen a lot of these type of things that we mentioned being already taken into action. So this is one of the most important sections there. And chapter highlights is more of what you're doing within your chapter, and that's going to be one of the ones that and highlights specifically what type of award you can qualify for. The whole report as a whole is very important, but section by section has its own little things that have to be detailed, so you're able to explain the story as to what are we doing to gain members, as well at the same time what pillars are being tackled, what are we doing to attain our members to keep growing as an organization, specifically to what SMART goals or what SHEP pillars, and then finally the member success. As professionals, we are a little bit different with the students, but of course we can always look into SHEP juniors, into how are we giving more grad schools, are we working with our regional grad team as well to be able to entail those things. So anything that you're doing within your chapter, everything is important, so highlight there. Don't be afraid to not put something just because you think it might be verbatim. We don't even know what other chapters are doing, so it's always great to be able to know what our chapters are doing so we can learn from them as well.
Yeah. And questions. I know there was a lot in there. So, I mean, hopefully the links that Susan provided are going to be helpful, and hopefully, I mean, if you guys reach out or you guys want to ask any questions, feel free to. Here, I can drop my email in the chat.
I dropped my LinkedIn in case anyone wants to reach out to me. I'm more than welcome to explain kind of my thinking process of how I planned out to start working on the report with my team. So if anyone wants to just add me, message me there. I'm always checking my LinkedIn just in case. So don't feel bad in reaching out to me. I know sometimes it can be a lot of information to entail at the end, but by all means, reach out to us anytime during your written report journey, because it can be quite a lot if you don't quite get what it is about.
I guess you guys just did such a great job that any questions?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, no questions right now, but thank you guys so much for the insight and the examples. I think that they're really helpful. I think, at least for myself, I think the questions will come once I try to put some of this into practice. So I appreciate all of the resources that you all have shared, as well as from links and open invitation to reach out for advice. So I appreciate all of that.
Of course, yeah, I'm the same way, girl. I'm the same way. Once I start dealing with the monster, then I'm like, yeah, I have a lot of questions. So feel free to reach out to Josh or myself. We've been through it. So by all means, let us know how we can support you or provide you better examples or to connect you with the right people to guide you to the right path. Because we want more Region 5 winners.
Yeah. Well, this is for like everybody, not just Region 5.
Yeah.
Well, I can reinforce too, like, my particular job isn't necessarily with the chapter support, but they do reach out to us. So Anna and Ashley will send me, hey, here's some trends that we've been seeing from the chapter reports about the mentorship program or different things that you're working on. You know, how can we brainstorm to better help support what the chapters are doing or elevate what the chapters are doing? So we definitely do read them, and they read them, like they said, word for word, and get us involved with those where we can help and support too. And also the piece in them. Definitely reach out to the chapters. They will set up an individual consultation with you. They don't want this to be a barrier. They don't want this to be a hindrance. But yeah, just collecting the information so we can better support you all.
And I believe there will be office hours in January, right, Susan? I think January 6th, they might have some office hours for chapter report help. Maybe they'll send more details about that. So I'm sorry, I got a little bit, but I kind of got more saliva, so I went away. But yeah, but I believe it's January 6th for the office hours for chapter reports. And if I'm not mistaken, is it January 15 when it's due, Josh?
Yes, the 15th.
So there's still some time. Do enjoy the holidays. Don't stress about the report right now, but kind of start getting a little bit of getting the word with your team. Like, hey,
Yeah.
let's start prepping. And then January, boom, start getting it because it's gonna come really quick. And for those, I know it is due at 12. I think it's at
Yeah,
midnight.
11:59. Yeah,
Yeah,
11:59.
11:59. Mm-hmm. But it's gonna be in Pacific time. So you're in Central time, don't panic, you still got 2 hours, but don't wait till last minute. Please don't.
It's 11:59.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
Which one is this one? Oh yeah, yeah. Those are the deadlines. Yep. So I think that's it, guys. So
Mhm.
we'll let everybody go. If you haven't had lunch, please eat. And if you have had lunch, I'm glad you had a good lunch. Well, I hope you had a good lunch. So yeah, thank
Thank
you,
you so
everybody.
much, Joshua and Rosie. What a great
Yeah,
presentation and great resources. So
Thank you
yeah,
for your
has
support as
great
always, Susan.
yeah.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone, and I hope to see you at National Convention.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.